Today's lesson is called, How many times can that material be recycled? Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Roger. Today we're going to be talking about recycling. And, of course, we're all doing our duty. We're all fulfilling our responsibility to save the earth by recycling. We don't just throw those plastic bottles in the trash. We recycle them. But maybe you've asked the question, gee, how many times can this plastic bottle be recycled? Just once? Maybe twice? Maybe 3 times? Well, in today's lesson, we're going to try to answer that very question.
Yeah, what a good question. We all know that recycling is good. It's the right thing to do. But can we recycle stuff forever? Are there some materials that we can't recycle over and over again? And if so, should we stay away from these materials if we can do so, if it's possible for us to do so? These are all really good questions. Anyways, yes, when you recycle something, by the way, it's kind of like reusing that thing. But yes, to be specific, when you are recycling something, you're taking something like an aluminum can, okay? When you recycle that aluminum can, you take that can and you put it in the recycling bin. Then someone turns that aluminum can into aluminum that can be used again. Yeah, the can is turned back into its raw material there, aluminum, and that aluminum can be used again. But can this process go on forever? Can you recycle aluminum forever? That's the idea here. That's what we're trying to figure out. Can all materials be recycled forever? Good question. Anyways, folks, with that, let's go ahead and start answering this question right now, after a short break, that is.
How many times can that material be recycled? Recycling is a praiseworthy activity that reduces trash in landfills, but it is not a perfect solution to the growing problem of waste. In reality, many of the materials most often recycled can only circulate a few times before reaching their final destination, the dump.
Hello， 大家好。第一部分我们看到的单字 landfill 这个字是名词，指垃圾掩埋场、垃圾掩埋。例如 Thanks to improvements in waste management, many landfills have been transformed into beautiful city parks. 由于对废弃物管理的改善，许多垃圾掩埋场已转变为美丽的城市公园。接着我们看到一个名词 destination 指目的地、终点，像是 None of the buses leaving from the stop go directly to the destination that I want to reach. 没有一台从这里出发的巴士会直达我的目的地。又或者说 The airplane will stop in Japan briefly, but its final destination is Los Angeles. 这个航班会在日本短暂的停留，但它最后的终点是洛杉矶。
Okay, let's talk about the title here and the first part of our lesson. We're talking about how many times can a particular material be recycled? And when we talk about material, we talk about things like aluminum or plastic or paper or whatever. So these things can be recycled, but how many times? We'll try to answer that question today. So recycling is a praiseworthy activity that reduces trash in landfills, but it is not a perfect solution to the growing problem of waste. So, of course, we all know what recycling is. That means trying to reuse things that we've used before, like newspapers, like plastic bottles, etc., etc. So, of course, if you recycle or you practice recycling, that's praiseworthy. That means you should be praised for that. People should say, oh, you love the earth so much that you would recycle that plastic bottle. Good for you.
Good for you. And yes, recycling is the right thing to do. When you recycle, you're figuring, hey, this is good for our planet. Why? Because when I throw this thing away in the recycling bin, it's not going to go into a landfill or into a dump or anything like that, right? Well, maybe that's not necessarily the case. Some materials, when you recycle them, okay, maybe they still end up in a landfill, just not right away. Because, yes, sometimes things can't be recycled indefinitely. You can't recycle them over and over again. So maybe we should stay away from those materials that are recyclable but can't be recycled forever. Because yes, if something is recyclable, sure, that's great. But to be recyclable forever or indefinitely, that is even better. Because if something is only recyclable, one day it might end up in a landfill or a garbage dump. But if something can be recycled forever, it will never end up in that landfill or that garbage dump. And that's what we should be shooting for. That should be our aim. Anyways, I've used this word a few times, the word landfill. A landfill is kind of like a garbage dump, a dump. That's all there is to it. One note, sometimes when people use this word landfill, they're making it clear that they're kind of collecting garbage in one place so as to make more land. Yeah, I believe Manhattan Island there, some of the most expensive real estate on that island actually used to be a garbage dump. Yes, people have used landfill. They've dumped garbage into the water, let's say around Manhattan Island there, and in that process, they actually made more land. That's what landfills do in some situations.
Yep, up here, of course, in lovely, lovely Taipei, we've got landfills, I think, out in Mujia there. At Fudakeng, I think there's a landfill there, which has been covered with dirt. It looks like a nice park and stuff like that. But also out there is an incinerator, which we can talk about some other time. But today we're talking about reducing trash in landfills. But, of course, it's nice to recycle and reduce that waste in landfills. But it's not a perfect solution to the growing problem of waste, okay? It's just kind of a temporary fix. Eventually, we're going to have some bigger solutions. And in reality, many of the materials most often recycled can only circulate a few times before reaching their final destination, the dump or the landfill. In my hometown, of course, we had the city dump just outside the city. If you had an old bed that you wanted to get rid of or something, you could just take it to the dump. But that's a small town in America. There's lots of land there. But of course, here in Taiwan, it's pretty crowded, so you can't just throw stuff out. You've got to recycle it. But, of course, when you recycle, you are reusing that stuff, or you're circulating those things. So to circulate just means to kind of go in a circle. You want to have air circulate around a room so it's comfortable.
Yeah, often to circulate, let's say, is to allow or to cause air to move through some area or place, replacing old, musty air with fresh air. For example, you could say, open the window so that the air in this room can circulate. But here the idea is slightly different, okay? When we use this verb circulate in this sentence, we're talking about something moving through a system, a cyclical, continuous system.
Exactly. So, of course, their final destination is the dump. Your destination, of course, is where you're headed finally. Every time, of course, I fly back home to see my parents, they're going to ask me what my final destination is. What's your final destination, sir? Well, it's Des Moines, Iowa, okay? I'm flying from Taipei to Los Angeles first, but then I've got to connect from there to Denver, and then from Denver to Des Moines. That's my final destination. Okay, let's move on now to the next part of our lesson. We'll listen to it first, and then we'll talk about it.
Plastics are among the most common packaging materials, and according to experts, they have the capability to be recycled 10 times or more. While this is true of durable plastics, such as those in bottle caps, the types most frequently used are turned into non-recyclable products after a single visit to a recycling plant. Paper has a slightly longer lifespan, surviving up to 7 trips to a recycling center before being disposed of for good. The fibers in a piece of paper shorten each time the paper is recycled, eventually resulting in a paste that is too hard to work with.
第二部分我们看到单字 capability 这个字是名词，指潜在能力、才能。举例来说 Only a few countries have the capability to put satellites in space. 只有几个国家有发射卫星至太空的能力。另外 capability 除了上面的意思，还有指性能、功能。我们可以说 These days, phones have many advanced capabilities. 现今的电话拥有许多先进的性能。接下来我们看到一个形容词 durable， 指耐用的、持久的。例如 Ted's new boots were more durable than the athletic shoes he usually wears. Ted 的新靴子比他平常穿的球鞋更耐穿。接下来我们看到一个单字 non-recyclable， 这个字是形容词，指不可回收的。举例来说 Many people don't realize that paper coffee cups are non-recyclable because they are lined with plastic. 很多人不知道咖啡纸杯不可以回收，因为它们内层涂了一层塑胶。而去除 non-recyclable 字首的 non 可以成为它的反义词，指可以回收利用的、可再循环的。所以可以说 Only certain materials gathered from demolished buildings are recyclable. 从被拆除的建筑物中所收集到的材料，只有某些可以回收。再来，我们看到名词 lifespan， 用来指寿命、使用期限。像是 Dogs have an average lifespan of about 12 to 15 years. 狗狗的平均寿命大概是12到15岁。又或者说 It is said that the lifespan of a toilet can be more than 20 years. 据说马桶的使用期限可以超过20年。
Anyways, let's start with plastics. Plastics are among the most common packaging materials, and according to experts, they have the capability to be recycled 10 times or more. Now, nowadays, people, they don't really like plastic, okay? People have heard about this gigantic plastic patch in the oceans there and how plastics are ruining the world. So, plastics, they get a whole lot of bad press these days. But plastics, let's face it, they're very useful. They're the most common or are among the most common packaging materials. And get this, on top of this, plastics are quite recyclable. They can be recycled 10 times or more, which is pretty good.
That does sound good indeed, and I did want to point out here that in this sentence we're saying plastics with an S. Plastic mostly is a non-count noun without the S, but again, if you're talking about different kinds of plastic, then you can add an S there. So different kinds of plastic or plastics can be recycled a number of times. They have the capability or the ability. They can be recycled 10 times or more. That's pretty cool. And so I guess you should feel confident when you drink your daily tea from a plastic bottle because it can be recycled at least 10 times.
Sadly, Roger, there's a catch. Yes, sometimes plastics can be recycled 10 times or more, but this is not always the case. Some plastics aren't all that recyclable, which is what we'll learn right now. Yes, while this is true of durable plastics, such as those in bottle caps, the types most frequently used are turned into non-recyclable products after a single visit to a recycling plant, i.e., yes, most plastics are going to end up in the ocean or in landfills after only one cycle in the whole recycling process.
Exactly. So, of course, we're talking about durable kinds of plastic that is strong and that can be recycled many times. But, of course, other types of plastic are non-recyclable, or at least they're turned into something that cannot be recycled again. So basically, some kinds of plastic just gets recycled once, and then that's it. This thing continues to be plastic for thousands of years. Now, paper has a slightly longer lifespan, surviving up to 7 trips to a recycling center before being disposed of for good, forever. Okay, so of course, if you talk about the lifespan of something, that just refers to how long it's going to live. Well, paper isn't really living, but we're talking basically about how long it can last when it is recycled. So it has a longer lifespan. We could say that people nowadays have a longer lifespan than they did, say, 1,000 years ago.
There you go. So paper has a slightly longer lifespan, okay? It can be recycled more often than most plastic. But yes, one day it's going to end up in the dump. It's going to be disposed of for good. Anyways, let's talk about this phrase, disposed of. Here, the phrase disposed of means thrown away or gotten rid of. For instance, you could say, I always dispose of my garbage in a responsible way. Anyways, more on paper. The fibers in a piece of paper shorten each time the paper is recycled, eventually resulting in a paste that is too hard to work with. And yes, this is what they dispose of. This paste that they can no longer turn into paper. So they can't do anything with this anymore, so they throw it away. Yes, this paste is just too hard to work with. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the adverb eventually right now. This adverb means in the end, after some delay, or usually just after some significant period of time. But to be totally clear, if something happens eventually, it happens finally. It happens, it occurs, it comes to pass after some time has gone by. For instance, you could say, don't worry, she'll eventually get tired of the game. Then she'll allow you to play it.
Or sometimes during the winter in Taipei, it rains every day, and someone might say, oh, don't worry, eventually the sun will come out. Okay, let's move on now to the next part of our lesson. We'll listen first, and then we'll discuss it.
For materials that are more environmentally friendly, look to glass and aluminum. Each can be recycled endlessly. And in aluminum's case, recycling uses only 5% of the energy that would be required to process virgin aluminum. Choosing these materials over others whenever possible is a small step towards preserving our planet, making it clean for the benefit of future generations.
最后第三部分我们看到一个单字 aluminum， 这个字是名词，指铝。例如 food can be packaged in aluminum cans to preserve it. 食物可以装在铝罐中保存。
Okay, back in the introduction, I mentioned aluminum. Okay, I thought, an aluminum can, that is recyclable, but how many times can we recycle that aluminum can? How many times can we turn it into aluminum that can be used again and again and again? Well, apparently, we've got good news here. Sure, paper has to be disposed of after a while, and the same thing goes for plastic. Aluminum, though, apparently is a real winner when it comes to being environmentally friendly. Yes, aluminum apparently can be recycled again and again and again. Yes, for materials that are more environmentally friendly, look to glass and aluminum. Glass and aluminum, yay!
These are great materials if you want to be environmentally friendly. Remember, aluminum, lü, is the American spelling. Of course, in England, in Australia, New Zealand, they're going to say aluminium. So be careful there. But we're Americans, we'll use the word aluminum here. And these are materials that are very environmentally friendly. Now, each material here, glass and aluminum, can be recycled endlessly. That sounds pretty cool. You can just keep on recycling them until the end of time. And in aluminum's case, recycling uses only 5% of the energy that would be required to process virgin aluminum. Wow, that's pretty cool. It kind of means that it's actually more energy efficient to get recycled aluminum than it is to get raw or virgin aluminum.
There you go. So choosing these materials over others whenever possible is a small step towards preserving our planet, making it clean for the benefit of future generations. So yes, if you can get a glass bottle or an aluminum can, yeah, go ahead and use those and don't use the other alternatives because glass and aluminum are super eco-friendly. Anyways, we've got a lot to talk about here. Let's start by talking about the verb preserve. If you preserve something, you keep that thing the way that it is. You keep something in good working order, or you maintain something, let's say, so as to keep it in its original condition. You don't want that thing to fall apart or deteriorate. You want to keep something as it is. For instance, you could say, if we don't preserve these masterpieces, future generations won't have the opportunity to see them. By the way, we also have the word generation to talk about. A generation here is a group of people born at around the same time. Yeah, generations come one after the other. Your parents are in one generation, you're in one generation, and then your children are in the next generation. Further, we also had the phrase, for the benefit of. Okay, this phrase means to benefit or for the good of. For instance, I work hard for the benefit of my family.
Or tonight there's going to be a show for the benefit of Mr. Kite. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分有一个句子是 Paper has a slightly longer lifespan, surviving up to 7 trips to a recycling center before being disposed of for good. 纸的寿命稍微长一点，在被永久丢弃之前会经过7次回收。好 for good 就表示永远，它的意思就跟 forever 差不多。那至于 lifespan， 其中这个 span 它是当名词用来表达一段时间。Lifespan 从字面上看起来就是人生在世的那段期间嘛，它就可以用来表达寿命，那也可以用来指使用期限。好，接着看到句子里面有一个片语叫 dispose of， 它表示清除丢弃，也有处理处置的意思。那我们要介绍的其实是 dispose 这个字的字首字根。好 pose 这个字当名词呢，它可以表达姿势姿态，那它当字根则是有放置摆放的语义。那在 dispose 这个字当中呢，它的字首 dis 表示分开， pose 表示摆放。当我们把事物这样分开摆放，就好像在整理东西嘛，所以就不难联想到 dispose 它有安排、整理、处置的意思。接着呢，我们还可以在 dispose 后面加上形容词字尾 able， able 表示可怎么样的，能怎么样的，合在一起 disposable 就有这种自由支配的语义，它可以用来形容用完即丢的一次性使用的。好，顺便再补充几个有相同字根的单字哦。第一个是 compose， 它的字首 com 表示一起， pose 表示放置。同学们可以试着想我们把不同的事物、不同的元素放在一起，构成整体，那就可以想到这个 compose 它有组成、构成的意思。好，第二个要补充的单字是 propose， 它的字首 pro 表示在什么什么之前，那么 pose 表示放置。那我们就试着想啦，当我们把想法或是计划提出来摆在前面，那就表示提议或是建议咯。好，读到课文下一句，他说 The fibers in a piece of paper shorten each time the paper is recycled, eventually resulting in a paste that is too hard to work with. 一张纸的纤维在每次回收后会变短，最终变成难以再使用的纸糊。句子里面这个 eventually resulting 其实是由 which eventually result 简化而来的。那么 which 就是用来代指前方的子句，也就是一张纸的纤维在每次回收后都会变短的这件事情。然后 which eventually results in 就表示这件事情最终造成什么什么。好，那课文就是省略了关系代名词 which， 再把动词 result 改成现在分词 resulting， 所以我们才会看到后半句它写作 eventually resulting in 什么什么什么。那我们来造个例句 The warehouse was struck by lightning, resulting in a fire. 那间仓库被闪电击中， 造成火灾，所以后面这个 resulting in a fire 就表示前面那件事情造成了火灾。好，以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Circulate. Low-value bills circulate for a shorter amount of time than high-value ones because they're used more heavily. Destination. We got lost along the way, but we finally arrived at our intended destination. Durable.
This pair of hiking boots looks like it's the most durable of the choices in this shop.
Fiber. These days, most clothing is made of a mix of natural and man-made fibers. Eventually. After a long debate, Taylor and Avery eventually agreed to disagree. Aluminum. Though aluminum baseball bats are cheap and long-lasting, many players still prefer traditional wood bats. Preserve. We must preserve this forest to save the species that live here. Generation. My family has been living in this country for many generations.
Discussion Starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. How will knowing the number of times a material can be recycled affect your behavior?
Oh, knowing that glass and aluminum can be recycled endlessly or indefinitely, I will definitely make a conscious effort to buy glass bottles and aluminum cans.
Well, it will encourage me to get my drinks from aluminum cans or from glass bottles because plastic can only be recycled so many times. And I guess aluminum and glass are better for the environment.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.